So this feels like a silly question because Rico Wade is your cousin.
Silly question is the one you don't ask.
Exactly,
so it's
exactly.
Good. Yeah.
But how did you end up connecting with Organized Noise and Outkast? I guess I want more like just a walkthrough of that.
Organized Noise kind of started to bloom in the apartment on Headland and DeLoe in East Point, where Rico and I lived. We got a four-track recorder. I remember when Rick first bought the four-track recorder that would allow us to have more than one track of recording. Mm-hmm. So then we got a microphone. And then Big Rube had a car accident. And so Big Rube used his car accident money to actually purchase our first MPC to make drums, make beats. And so I had a turntable set up right there in the living room of the apartment where me, Rico, and Ramon lived. Rico's two sisters lived, and his mom lived. We all lived in this apartment. So I had a DJ set up. Rick had a little 4-track recorder sitting on the table. Big Rube bought an MPC 60. And so now we had a setup. And so within a year or so, Rick met Sleepy, who produces and sings a little bit. And then we met Ray over at a guy named Joe's house, who was our producer, who produced and recorded everything for us before we had a 4-track. So anyway, from the beginning, before there was an Organized Noise, I've always been associated.
And how did how did that forming of Voltron in a sense, was it just like we needed was it what was the impetus to do music? There were so many things that it could have been organized around.
Because music was what we had in common. We all had music in common. And we all had entertaining in common. Okay. And so each one of us had our own, things that we all had to offer to the stack. I had DJing skills and that kind of thing. Rick had leader skills. Sleepy had singing skills and dancing skills. Big Rube, he had this big voice and he was a poet. So then Big Rube wrote all the poet and the talking part. So everybody was talented in one way or another, and we all kind of just congregated together and started to do something with it.
And so this was this like Society of the Soul era, or was this did that come after Outkast?
Society of Soul was Society of Soul is Sleepy's project. That's one of Sleepy's babies that he has nurtured, throughout, and he'd probably been working on for a while. But that was one of Sleepy's albums, Sleepy's projects, Society of Soul, and that would have come after Outkast.
All right, cool. So speaking of Outkast, the Dungeon Family crew is forming. So when did the MCs started coming through? When did
MCs started coming through? It was all starting at the same time. Maybe about 2 years after we moved to Headland and DeLoe, Outkast was Big and Dre were walking through the plaza across the street where my cousin Rico worked. I worked there as well. I worked at the Chinese restaurant two doors down.
So y'all had food?
So that we had food. And so, that's how I was able to make my money, to buy my equipment. And so they were walking down through the plaza one day, and Rick, started talking to them. They were rapping. And eventually they developed a relationship together, and my cousin took them on to, eventually get a record deal. Yeah. So that was how Outkast came into the picture. And my cousin, then Rico Wade, decided to put me with Outkast as the DJ. I kind of put it in his ear like, hey, man, you probably should put me as a DJ because I've been out here stealing cars and doing all kind of crazy shit. I don't want to go. I need to be doing something else with my time. He's like, yeah, you're right. Okay. So we'll talk to the guys and me and the guys, we hit it off, from the beginning. And so that's kind of how I became the DJ.
Okay, another rap nerd moment. So I heard that Outkast was supposed to be called 3 the Hard Way first.
Yeah. Is
that a rumor?
I maybe. I don't have much info on that.
But because also the thing that they were saying was it was supposed to be 3 the Hard Way and CeeLo was going to be in the group.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
That is true. Do you know why he didn't, what happened with that?
I do not know.
Okay.
I don't know what happened.
I got you.
I do not know.
I'm just curious, man. I feel like I have history at the table with me, so I gotta fire off the question.
I remember that CeeLo was supposed to be an Outkast. Those were early times. As producers, you have to do the development stage,
right? And
so you got to see what kind of music works for that artist. You have to see who fits that part. You got to do those things. So I think somewhere in there, in the translation, maybe they decided that CeeLo was strong enough to be an artist on his own, or better off with the Goody Mob. Yeah.